Dan Geiger here, the All-American Alarm Clock host on Radio Oz. You remember me? Hey, I've got more fun memories for you from Radio Oz. Once upon a time, there was a king who loved new clothes. He spent all of his money on them, and he liked nothing better than to drive out every day in his carriage and show them off to everyone. Why, he had a coat for every hour of the day and spent far more time deciding what clothes to wear than he did looking after his kingdom. "I look like a million," proclaimed the king. Just then the clock struck 3 p.m. "Whoops, new hour. Time to change. Now let me see. Where is my 3 p.m. underwear?" The great city where the king lived was very large and very busy. Strangers arrived there every day. One day, 2 cheats arrived, just as the king was passing by in his carriage showing off his clothing. "Hey, Alfie, look at that. Is that a ripe sucker tree just waiting to be picked or what?" said the first cheat. "Who, the king? Gus, have you gone daft? If we pull a fast one on him and get caught, it would be the dungeon for the both of us for life." "Who said anything about getting caught?" "Well, I just thought. Leave the thinking to me, my friend. I've got a plan." "Ooh, a plan. Hey, Gus, you old flim-flam man. What is it, huh?" "Did you see the way he showed off his spectacular clothing?" "Yeah, so?" "That's my plan. We'll sell him some clothes." "But where are we going to get spectacular clothes to sell him?" "Easy. We'll make them ourselves." "Blimey, your brain is pudding. We don't know how to sew clothing." "Trust me, come on." The 2 cheats managed to gain an audience with the king later that day. They told the king that they were weavers, and they boasted that they could weave the finest cloth anyone could imagine. Not only were their colors and patterns exceedingly beautiful, they said, but the clothes made from their cloth possessed a wonderful quality of being invisible to anyone who was not fit for his job or who was a complete fool.
"They must have wonderful clothes,"
thought the king.
"If I wore them, I'd be able to tell those in my kingdom who are not fit for their jobs and see who is foolish and who is wise."
So the king said to Gus and Elfie, Yes, I must have clothing made from your cloth immediately, if not sooner, ASAP, stat even." The swindlers asked the king for 10 bags of gold so they could begin to work at once. Gus and Elfie set up 2 looms and pretended to be weaving, but there was nothing at all on their looms.
"Elfie, we've got it made."
"We've got the money. Now let's hightail it out of here, mate."
"In good time, my impatient pal, in good time."
The 2 cheats worked the empty looms until late into the night. Meanwhile, the king, who was anxious to see his wonderful new garments, was a little uneasy. He remembered that those who were not fit for their work could not see the spectacular wardrobe. He thought to himself,
"What if I can't see it myself? My followers will think I'm unfit for my title. Why, I'd be the laughing stock of the entire kingdom. And where did this echo come from every time I think? Hello? Echo! I like that echo. It's better than the tiles in the royal bathroom when I sing. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight. Come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon?"
"Your Majesty," this was the king's most trusted servant, Henry. Oh, Henry, it's you. You startled me. Say, listen, I want you to do a favor for me. I want you to go see the tailors in the royal sewing room and find out the progress being made on my new magical clothing." "Yes, sire," said Henry. "Before you go, there's something important I should tell you." So the king's most trusted servant, Henry, was told about the magic clothing and what he was supposed to see. He went to the royal sewing room where Gus sat working the empty loom. Elfie kept watch at the door.
"Hey, Gus, someone's coming."
"Quick, back to work, you fool."
"Hello," said Henry. "The king sent me to check on his new clothes."
"Well, my good man, see for yourself."
What?" Servant Henry looked around the room. It was empty, except for the 2 looms and the 2 men before him. He saw no magical clothes. Did this mean he was a fool? Henry thought it over.
"I better not let on that I can't see anything. I don't want to appear the fool. Hey, the king's right. This echo is cool. Echo! Echo! Hello!
The two cheats begged him to come closer and asked Henry if he liked the colors in the pattern. Henry stared and stared.
Well, what do you think?
It's also beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. And to himself he thought,
At least that's not a lie.
Fine. Now listen, my good man. Tell the king we'll need 5 more bags of gold to buy more magic material. Here now, Gus. I suspect we'll be needing at least 8 more bags of gold. Don't forget, we need more velvet for the sleeves. Better make it 10 more bags just to play it safe, said Gus.
Not wanting to appear a fool, Henry said, I shall tell His Majesty at once. Just then there was a knock at the door.
Hiya. Hey, does anyone here need some straw spun into gold?
Straw into gold? Oh, wait a minute. Are you that little Rumpelstiltskin fella that we've all heard about?
Yeah. Everyone knows my name now. Anyway, straw into gold, anyone?
It sounds tempting, my little man, but I'm afraid you're in the wrong story.
Well, that's right. This is a Hans Christian Andersen tale.
Yeah, you're looking for the Brothers Grimm.
Please leave right now, demanded Henry.
Gee, some people. I'm out of here.
Rumpelstiltskin exited the room. Now, before there are any more interruptions, said Henry, will you two please tell me all about these marvelous clothes? The two cheats told Henry all about the clothes, the style, the cut, the colors. Henry remembered it all so he could repeat it for the king. So because he did not want to appear foolish and lose his job, Henry praised the garments to the king. Everyone on the king's staff had by now heard about the tailors with the magical clothes, and word soon reached the queen. The queen entered the room.
Your Highness, hubby of mine?
Asked the queen.
Yes, dear. Tell me more about this magical suit of clothes you're having made. I was at the Royal Beauty Parlor, and that's all anyone could talk about.
Yes, dear, the king shrugged. And he told her the story of the magnificent clothes and all the rest. The queen was beside herself with excitement.
I must see these clothes at once,
shouted the queen.
Yes, dear.
So the king summoned his faithful jester, John, and ordered him to take the queen to the tailor's. He told the queen that he intended to wear the clothes in Saturday's royal parade, leading the royal brigade. Jester John had heard about the cloth appearing invisible to fools and unfit workers. He said,
Thank you, your Highness. It's good to be here. I'll take the queen to the royal sewing room in a moment, sire. But first, did you hear about the guy who went to see the royal doctor? And he says, Doctor, help me, please. I can't remember anything. How long has this been going on? Said the doctor. And the guy says, How long's what been going on? Same doctor, different fella. Runs in. Doctor, help me. I think I'm a dog. How long's this been going on? The doctor asked again. Ever since I was a puppy, the fella says. Your Majesty, the doctor wouldn't let the guy up on his couch either because he thought he was a dog. Now see here, the king shouted. Did you hear about the jester that came up to another jester and he says, I'm thirsty? And the second jester says, Hello, thirsty, I'm Friday. Hey, come over Saturday and we'll go have a Sunday. Yeah, this is a tough room. That's not bad, Jester John, but please, take the queen to see the tailors. Let's get this story back on track. Oh, yes, all right, my lady, this way. Thank you, John. So the queen and Jester John went to see how the weaving was getting on and if the cloth was nearly ready. They were shown the same empty room Henry observed. Of course, neither the queen or servant John saw a thing, yet neither of them wanted to appear the fool. So when the cheats asked both of them what they thought of the clothes, the queen answered first. Oh my, isn't it grand? Isn't it rich? Look at the charm of every stitch. Hey, I made a rhyme. The king is going to be a big hit in the royal parade tomorrow. So the queen and Jester John went back and told the king about his beautiful new clothes. The king waited until the next day to see the clothes for himself. He went to see the tailors in the royal sewing room 1 hour before the royal parade.
Your Majesty,
said Gus,
I've been hearing wonderful things about these clothes you've made for me.
The queen went on and on. Everyone in the kingdom is talking. The parade is in an hour. It's time for me to get dressed. Where are the royal clothes? Well, they're right there on the chair, your Highness, said Alfie. The king looked around the room, but he saw nothing. He thought to himself,
This is terrible. I can't see a thing. Am I stupid? Am I not fit to be king? That would be the most dreadful thing that could happen to me. Not only that, but I get terrible feedback now with my echo. Oh, this is bad.
Out loud, the king said, "Oh, it's fabulous. I give it my highest approval." The king was not going to say that he saw nothing.
Here you are, then, your highness. All we ask is another 3 bags of gold for our trouble.
Yes, sire, and then we'll be on our way.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Here's more gold.
The king gave the cheats the gold, and he took what he believed to be his new clothes back to his royal chambers to ready himself for the parade. The king took off his clothes and pretended to put on each layer of his new wardrobe. In the mirror, he saw nothing. Still, he didn't want to admit that he was stupid and foolish. "Why, this cloth is so light it almost feels like I have nothing on. How well this suit fits. It's really magnificent. Well, I'm ready." The king opened the doors to his royal chambers and entered the royal court, where the queen and the king's servants were waiting. "Well, what do you think?" asked the king. Gasp! That was all the room could conjure up. All of their mouths dropped open. Jester Johnny was the first to speak.
"It's definitely you. All you, your majesty."
"Henry, what do you think?" asked the king. "Well, sire, nobody else could wear that outfit quite the way you do." "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I don't think I'll be able to ride with you in the parade today. I have to do something else." "I understand, my queen. You're afraid that because everyone will be looking at my new clothes, nobody will be gazing at your beauty. I understand." Yes, that's it, my king, that's it." "Well, that's nonsense, my queen. Don't let that upset you. Just turn the other cheek." "I'm afraid you'll already be doing that." The servants were instructed by the king to carry the train of the royal cape. They didn't dare show they saw nothing. Jester John and Henry bent down with their hands toward the floor, just as if they were picking it up, and pretended to be holding something in the air. "Be careful not to rip the cape, Henry. The material is so light it could easily tear," suggested the king. This parade is a long parade, your majesty. Maybe you should ride inside your carriage." "Nonsense! Then the people wouldn't be able to see my new clothes." "Precisely." "What was that?" said the king. "Nothing, sire, not a thing." So the king entered the procession through the kingdom. Everyone was in the streets by now. They all shouted things like, "Here comes the king in his new clothes! How fine he looks!" Again, no one wanted to appear the fool. No one except one little fella that hadn't heard about the king's new clothes, so therefore didn't know what it was he was supposed to see. He took one look at the king and his eyes grew wide. He shouted, "Daddy! Daddy! Look! The king has no clothes!" The crowd began to whisper and giggle. They began to realize that the boy was right. "Did you hear what the kid said?" they asked. They began repeating, "The king has no clothes! The king has no clothes!" The king heard the whispering and commotion, and he thought to himself,
Isn't that sweet? They're all whispering about my clothes. They love me.
Then the crowd began to shout, "The king has no clothes! Hey, look! The king has no clothes! He's naked as a jaybird!" When the king heard that, he turned beet red. "Well now, aren't I the embarrassed one? Henry, John, quickly, get me out of here!" shouted the king. And the king hurried back into the castle, and he never showed his face to his people again, for in his heart he knew he was a fool. And the cheats, Elfie and Gus, well, they were long gone before the parade even started. They, too, were never heard from again, and neither was the king's gold. And that's the end of